everybody. My name is Alice Ragland, and I want to welcome everybody to the People's Tribunal on Police Brutality. Thank you all for coming. The purpose of this event is to highlight the experiences of those who have suffered in the hands of the criminal justice system. The stories told today will provide a powerful narrative to counter the justifications for injustice that people in power try to feed us. Too often, individuals and institutions such as the mainstream media attempt to justify or make excuses for racism, police brutality, and other instances of systemic oppression. Today, we will hear the other side and decide for ourselves what the truth is. The testimony that we will hear today will be recorded and presented to Amnesty International, the United Nations Human Rights Commission, and the International Olympic Committee in order to expose these atrocities to the world. International attention and shame is often needed before the United States acts on its human rights violations. For example, when countless African Americans were being brutally beaten and lynched in an effort to keep them in their place after slavery, the lynching problem was not addressed by this nation until Ida B. Wells embarrassed the United States internationally by informing the world about its hypocrisy and brutality.
My name is Alicia Kirkman. My son's name was Angelo Miller. He got killed 8 years ago. It's hard for me to do this. You know, it's been 8 years, but it seemed like the longer it is, the worse it's getting. And so he was 17 years old. He was out doing things that some kids do. You know, we all have not did right growing up. You know, so he broke in a car. So him and his friends got away. So Angelo comes back home, he gets his car, thinking he could go get, you know, the radio they stole out the car, get it. But it didn't happen like that. When he was pulling up, it was an off-duty police officer. I really don't know how this went because I was not there. But what I do know is when they told me that my son tried to run the police officer over. Every mother knows their child, the good and the bad. I knew my son didn't try to run a police officer over. So the 911 tape came out, and you heard the officer saying, one second, please. You heard the officer saying, put your hands up, put your hands up. You heard my baby say, my hands are up, I swear to God, I don't got nothing, I ain't doing nothing. All of a sudden, the phone went dead. It get worse and it get worse. Like every time you're watching the news, you know, ever since my son got killed, it seems like it's getting worse and it's getting worse. You know, and it's like you can't heal because the pain, when you see that, when I saw the young man running for his life and they shot 8 times. How can a parent ever heal? I mean, somebody had asked me something before, and I told them, it's like I put on a disguise because I have to go to the workforce, I have to deal with the public, I have kids and grandkids. So I have to put on the disguise because when your child is taken away from you, your life will never, ever be the same.
That's right.
Some things you can't listen to no more, some things you can't watch no more, some things you can't cook no more, some things you can't eat no more. That's how sickening it is. It's a pain that we deal with. We can't explain. You know, you have to be that parent that lose that child.
In their house, and Officer Krasko pulls my son, unlocks his arm from Tiffany's arm, pulls him, throws him up against a police car, and pretty much starts beating him. My son is screaming for help. He's screaming to the neighbors, somebody help me, Dawn, somebody please help me. Tiffany's calling the Parma police because what is she gonna do? She can't do anything. These are 2 police officers supposed to help, but they're not helping. Anyway, a fight ensues. because my son he's not gonna get beat for something he didn't do, and he knows that officers are not acting within their jurisdiction, they're not acting as police officers, so he's protecting himself and his life. They get in an altercation, they're rolling on the ground, Tiffany's trying to call the police, and within minutes, I would say, Officer Krasko was tired of fighting with my son. My son was unarmed, by the way, and nothing on him but a pocket knife, which they took out, threw it on the ground, just a pocket knife he carried every day, and basically, he pulled out his gun, and he fired it at my son. He killed him right at his doorstep. And he was trying to get into his house. All because he was tired of fighting with my son. And Officer Mindex stood there and watched the whole thing happen and nothing. He did nothing. Anyway, of course, the grand jury doesn't indict him because it's a justifiable shooting, of course, even though my son's unarmed and doesn't have to talk to them. He doesn't have to go with them. They have no search warrant. He didn't have to do anything. His civil rights were totally and completely violated. So we have a civil suit now trying to do something to get justice somewhere, seeing that the Cuyahoga County prosecutor won't do anything. The Cleveland Police Department didn't even discipline them because they said they're waiting for the discipline until after our civil suit. How could you wait to discipline somebody until a civil suit? It's almost 4 years. Well, guess what? The 2 officers, I believe, have now since got disability retirement. They're not even working as police officers, so they will never be disciplined. So we're just looking for justice. Just real quick, my ex-husband Dennis, which is my son's father, he suffered a stroke a couple months ago. He's been in this with me from the beginning. We've been doing this together, and he's been speaking. But we had a little setback, but he's here right now. I don't think he can go anything. So thank you very much for having us here.
Same lady that called 911 and told them that my son was breaking the store witnessed the whole thing. She said she watched the whole thing from the time she called to the time they shot my son. So he came out the store. They grabbed a hold of him. Both of them grabbed a hold of him. She said they talked with him 4 to 5 minutes with a gun in his throat, talking to him. Said my son would say something back to him, and the gun went off, and they dropped my son to the ground. One of them checked the pulse, told the other one there's no pulse. He called back up, then he called 911.
You need to put that bright eye back into the kids. They have to see hope. They have to feel like, oh, these people care. And then when you have a neighborhood like that, the police can't come into some place like that when everybody knows each other. The way that Tamir thing was supposed to go down is the police was supposed to know who he was and who his mother was and pull up and be like, boy, what you out here playing with them guns like that for? Don't make me call your mother. That's what it was supposed to be. Don't make me call your mother, oh, my fault, officer, blah, 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 blah. You know, I just got carried away. That's how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? This stuff that's going on right now where people don't know each other, if they don't know nobody in the neighborhood, they don't belong police in that neighborhood. That's how I feel. You don't belong in my neighborhood if you don't know nobody in it.
One of the things that you experienced was that these brothers that were locked up didn't have no education, they couldn't read, they couldn't write. And knowing who you are now, right, is that what you gave them? Because when I heard the word care, I felt like that not only were you in there, but you were providing them something that they needed, and that was the care of understanding but how to learn to read, how to learn to write, and how to learn to express yourself. So just a quick question.
Oh, yeah, that's what basically I was doing. I was reading people their Qurans, their Bibles, letters to their family, writing back, because some people didn't know how to write. You know, and then when the classrooms were set up, you know, I was actually teaching them. And then when we got transferred to what was it, Greenville, North Carolina, got transferred to Greenville, South Carolina, or something like that. We were supposed to be released. We got our pink slips, and usually get released 3 months before. And they told me, they said, "Oh, nah, you can't be released because you got a violent charge." And I said, "Hold on, but the government, the people that told me, you know what I'm saying, that's responsible for me being here said I can leave." They said, "No, we're not letting you leave this institution," which was Wackenhut. And I said, hold on, that doesn't even make sense. So what I did was I picked up my pen and I wrote Eleanor Holmes Norton. And I said, they're keeping me here for an extra 90 days. So that's this, every day was, I think it was $50 a day. I said, multiply this 50 times the 90, Now multiply that 90 times the 2,000 inmates that's over here under this. That's how much they milking y'all for money. I was gone in 2 days, and I took 2,000 people with me.
See, and that's brilliant, right? And that, which is echoing what we need in our community, you know, and that's that love and that care that you spoke of, and it just really shows just how we can do it in our community when we engage our young people, and that's why I truly believe. Well, Frederick Douglass has a quote that I truly love, and that is, "It is easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men." You know what I'm saying? And so what you're doing is brilliant. Thank you. And you know, for the younger brothers that are in here, you know, we have to take up this leadership, because when Dr. McKinney said that we have to take it to a different level, it has to be done by the young people, yourselves and others like yourselves that have that experience to share with the world the real history of what's going on. You know, and I believe my brother here had talked a little bit about it. You know, what crimes have the United States committed? That has to be exposed, because many of us families, when we enter into the criminal justice system, right, we really come in thinking that we're going to get some justice. You know, we really do. And we'll be the first one that says, please, no violence. We're a non-violent family. No violence. Let us get our day in court so we can get this justice, because it's clear that my nephew didn't do anything wrong. And then we get kicked in the face. And we come to a different political belief and understanding of how the system works. Institutionalized racism in the criminal justice system is real. This country is hemorrhaging on the criminal justice system, because it's still maintaining a slavery system in its full essence of its existence. And so we have to be clear about that. And though we didn't talk a lot about the prison industrial system, however, it's directly connected to this police brutality and terrorism that we see every day.